I saw Ma Rainey's Black Bottom on Netflix, starring Chadwick Boseman and Viola Davis, for the first time ever this weekend. So, let's talk about this movie. Firstly, there is the movie's plot. While the plot itself is really kind of nothing when you think about it, a bunch of instrumentalists are waiting for the lead of their band to arrive at a recording studio, and once she does, things do not go as smoothly as planned. It is really entertaining, however. The storyline isn't meant to feature great spectacle and set pieces, but it doesn't need to, as it focuses more on characters and their relationships to each other, and society as a whole, specifically Chadwick Boseman's character. Also, the story is probably minimalistic since it's based on a play, and the playwright August Wilton would probably want to keep his production low cost. Literally, two-thirds of the movie are spent in a rehearsal room, so that supports my theory. For example, Hamilton was all filmed basically one set because it's too much work to have a bunch of sets in different locations. Anywho, the minimalist plot doesn't bother me, but much rather engrossed me even more in the personal details of this story. The design elements of the production values of this movie are really good, especially considering that it went straight to streaming on Netflix, probably due to the pandemic last year. It just looks like an Oscar winner, and it evidently won two Academy Awards. The costume design is amazing and really captures the 1920s since this movie is set in 1927 Chicago. Also, Ma Rainey's makeup on Viola Davis is great and definitely stood out to me throughout my viewing. The best part about this movie/play is the characters. Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman do great jobs portraying the protagonists, if you want to call them that, of the play, and I like that their characters are inherently unlikable. Rather than the simple route of writing nice and likable characters, Wilson wrote characters that were mostly jerks and really flawed to those around them, but had valid reasons and backstories, especially Boseman's character, for being the way that they are. Chadwick Boseman portrays a trumpet player named Levy, who doesn't really want to be in Ma Rainey's band. He is only really there for his paycheck and recognition, and women also, and as his conversations with the other musicians show, he is self-serving and wants to start his own band that gives the people what they want. The audience finds out about halfway through the movie that his character is cocky and selfish because his mom was raped by a gang of white racists, and his dad getting revenge on them all while he was a kid. This helps the audience understand where he is coming from and why he wants to rise up out of his position. Inevitably, though, his cockiness gets the best of him as he kills Toledo, a really great character, at the end of the play. The record company owner buys but really steals his songs from him, and his standout scenes that showed the scope of and his songs become popular without him receiving any credit for it. The character really comes alive because of Chadwick's performance. The standout scenes to me that showed the scope of his acting were the scene where he revealed his backstory and the scene where he yells out to the universe. Luckily, I don't get any Black Panther vibes from his performance, showing just how skilled of an actor he was. Next up is Viola Davis, who plays Ma Rainey. Her character is obnoxious, with no true redeeming qualities. She's mean to her nephew, her girlfriend, her manager, and her musicians. I understand her being mad at the record guy because he's clearly being manipulative, but I feel like she definitely contributed to Levy going over the edge. Viola Davis's voice is really good at singing, and she plays the character well since her forte seems to be intimidating and cold characters, like in the Suicide Squad movies. Only two other characters really stood out to me besides those two: Toledo and Cutler. Toledo is the piano player of the band, and he's very philosophical. I feel like I could relate to and understand this guy. He stands out as a foil to Levy's neo ideals and loose nature, since he is old school and uptight. He believes that to make change, African Americans need to rise up and put aside self serving nature, while Levy just wants to have a good time the entire time, with little to no thoughts about consequences or the future. Additionally, similar to Levy, we get Toledo's backstory and explains how his wife left him, and how he'll never make that same mistake again. I was really sad to see Toledo killed by the end of this movie, but his death made sense and was foreshadowed by many earlier lines in the movie, such as one where he talks about how he'll always be philosophical his whole life. Meanwhile, Cutler is the trombone player of the band and sort of the band leader. He is very religious and while not as uptight as Toledo, definitely more uptight than Levy. I could also relate to him as well. I liked his banter with the other bandmates, and his standout scene was his fight with Levy. The other band member is Slow Drag, and I forgot what he plays. That's how maybe a bass, but he didn't contribute much plot wise. He was like clearly the mediator of all these characters. On a final note, I really like this play, and I wish I had seen it earlier since it's always been on Netflix. It is easily Boseman's best performance from the movies I've seen, and it's really deep, thought provoking, and philosophical. Additionally, I feel like each character represents a different aspect of society, and it all comes together for a very thought provoking movie. I'd give this movie a 9 out of 10 stars. Probably, mostly because it's based on a play. So, yeah.